Hi, guys. Thank you for joining. This is Essence of Life, and today we're talking about gardening. I'm Amanda Armagast.
About it for Elsa. What an interesting topic and appropriate for spring. Tell me.
Yep. The first day of spring it has passed, and Earth Day was last week. We talked a little bit about that, and I am super excited to go home from work today and start on my garden.
Well, what are you planting?
I'm planting a lot. As you guys know, I'm a vegetarian, so I really get excited for the springtime. I really do like to try and grow as much food as I can. I'm pretty bad at it, to be honest. I think last year I spent like, I don't really want to say how much money I spent on food, but on food to plant. But I do want to say that I think I
Mhm.
ate like four tomatoes, four giant tomatoes, and then just some small ones. I'm not that good at gardening. Last year, something really weird happened with my garden. I had planted potatoes, onions, and garlic, and they were doing amazing. Like, I was checking on them every day, dusting off the leaves, making sure that they're getting all the sun, everything. And then cutting the onion tops for my friends to share with my friends, bragging for weeks about how tall my potatoes were. And then I got COVID, so I didn't check on my garden for about a week and a half. What the heck? I went back out to my garden. Everything was gone. All my potatoes gone. All my onions gone. Garlic, nothing. I was digging. I couldn't find anything. But the weirdest thing was the soil wasn't disturbed. Like it's still a mystery to me. I was out there recently getting ready to garden for this week, and I was thinking like, what on earth? Where could these have gone? And it's really interesting because the common gardener knows you have to put up little fences or things to protect your food, which is my problem for non-root vegetables, but you don't need to do that with root veggies like carrots,
Well, you are not a
onions.
regular gardener because you have been feeding all the wildlife in a 10-mile radius to your house. And so all those possum and the raccoons and so on, they say, hey, Amanda's back.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. They
Yeah.
all come to my house and the ones in my yard are the fattest wild animals you'll ever see in your life. Like the
Yeah.
National Geographic should come to Minnetonka.
Well, I remember that you told me about those raccoons and those possum, that they were surprised you're yelling at them. Say, "Hey, you put food out there. Why are you yelling at us?" And as well, they have been serving themselves from your eggs and so on, and you put as well the food, the chicken food out there, and I think all the wild animal they have been enjoying it along with your chicken. And once the food was low, raccoons started eating your chickens, actually, right?
One by one night, the next night, the next night. After 4 nights, I had no chickens,
There was,
sadly.
there's actually some song about that, said that your animal little one by one will go away. Well, now when I go to Kansas, I am in this motel, and the owner of the motel or the person who works there is actually an Indian. And he was telling me just in that little space between the hotel and the street, in that little thing, he's gardening. And he was so proud of it, telling me that he doesn't pay any money for vegetables and so on. And um, and when I was just listening to him, yeah, he's probably about 68, 70 years old. And when I was just listening to him, I'm considering that, this is just on the side of the road next to his motel. That is where because I was thinking he has a farm or anything. It really dawned on me how little you really need to grow plants because they have been growing for millions and millions of years.
Mhm.
And I think your problem is that all the other animals that as well love your garden, but and this the gentleman, was telling me about potatoes and broccolis and coal and everything else that he has been growing. Um, Generally, I think this is the magic of plant life. Generally, it's actually easy. You need water and you need sun.
And you need proper soil. That's actually my problem at home is I have something in my yard called grubs. And grubs will destroy everything. If you look in my backyard, the things that grow in my backyard are actually mostly invasive species. They're things that will grow regardless. They will grow in a nuclear event. But there's a lot of ground issues, or if you have proper soil pH, like there's different zones. There's zones 1 through what, like 6 or 7 or 10. I don't know. So I can't in Minnesota grow an avocado tree. It's not just water and sun, it's the proper water, the proper sun, and the proper pH in your soil.
And that is mostly because we made our plants, our plants that we are eating, such degenerate that they need lots of care. It is like how we have, brought dogs. The dog was a wolf. Imagine
That's so funny that you say that because
your
I'm
dog,
sorry,
a
I'm
little
reading a
bit,
book about that right now, and he says you can't compare your dog to a wolf when it comes to their diet because how similar does your dog look to a wolf? Your dog, it's a pug. It looks nothing like a wolf. Why should it eat the same thing as a wolf?
well,
Like
and now,
we've made them very sensitive.
yeah, but imagine now what a wolf needs to survive versus what your lily needs to survive,
Oh my God,
And,
yeah.
and with the plant is as well the same way um, that we have made them so specific and that they need to have such a very niche environment, and in the wild they cannot compete with the what you would call invasive species where it grows no matter what,
Hmm.
whatever. Now, for example, I'm not sure if you have heard that, but did you know broccoli, Brussels sprout, and cole and kale,
Cauliflower, you mean when you say
cauliflower,
coal?
cauliflower, they're all actually variation of the same plant
Yep,
that we have,
cruciferous veggies.
yeah, we have selected some that one part of the plant grows versus the other part of the plant and so on. So we literally made them as such that they one part or another part of it grows. So what are you planning? What are you planting this year?
Okay, well, my pride and joys, actually, I want to tell everyone about this a little bit, are my grocery store plants. So there's some groups of plants that you can actually plant at home and you don't even have to spend any money. It's just your food scraps. So for example, I live alone, I'm a vegetarian, so potatoes don't last very long at my house, or like I don't go through them fast enough at my house. So a lot of times they start getting sprouts or eyes. So what I like to do, and this is what I did last year as well, you cut up the potato and take the eye and you
Mhm.
allow it to be facing up, and then you'll get a whole new potato plant. And that I did actually get a lot of potatoes last year too, all different sizes. And then tops of onions, you can take you eat the top, you save the bottom, and you get a whole new onion. It'll just grow in your garden. Same with garlic. Those are my grocery store plants. But
It's a
then
great
other
idea.
yeah, free. But then other than that, I have a lot of beans growing right now. Somehow I was doing an experiment over the winter, so I was doing organic heirloom seeds and dollar store seeds and seeing which ones grew better. To be honest, they grew about equally as well. If anyone's trying to be on a budget, go with the dollar store seeds. They were just as successful as the heirloom. But I'm doing beans, cabbage, cauliflower and broccoli, obviously. Um, a lot of different lettuce, but I'm not really that good at growing lettuce because I don't eat it fast enough. And some gourds, squashes, pumpkins, things like that. But what I'm doing is I'm trying, like I said, I'm not planting in the ground because I have pretty bad soil at home. So I'm planting them in container gardens. And what I'm trying to do is group things that really like to grow together that will protect each other because something that plants really work well together. um, some plants poison the bugs that eat other plants, and some plants don't even poison the bugs, but they protect the plants around them by letting off these chemicals that pretty much ward the bugs away just to protect their friends, in my
Yeah.
eyes.
Have you invited the raccoons and the squirrels yet? Have you sent
Um,
the invitation out?
Sadly, yeah, because I planted some raspberry and blueberry bushes in the backyard. And when I came home from Boston this weekend, the first thing I did when I came home, go to check my bushes. Why were they completely gone? The bunnies, the bunnies ate them down, like ate them down to nothing. But thank God I planted one. I knew this would happen. So I planted one in a pot on my deck to just see how it would go, and she's doing pretty well.
Okay, okay. Well, unfortunately, those wildlife as well, they just, they know that they're going to have a good time this summer with your garden. Um,
Exactly.
eh, what would you think? How much one can save, like by doing something like that? I know you probably are not saving much, but what do you think?
Well, it's so tough because if you really want to be a budget gardener, and that's like sadly, it is my goal. I'm not that good at it, but it's my goal. I do want to be a budget gardener. So I try and learn different ways. I don't know. I don't know how much money you can save, but I know that you can save a lot of money by going to your library because the library will give you heirloom seeds. Did you
Hmm.
know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So
So if
that's a
you,
great idea.
right. I
Do
didn't
you
know
have
that
to
either.
do you have to bring it back? Because
Well,
library, you just borrow things.
exactly. You do bring it back. So you grow the seeds and they're hoping that you successfully grow the seeds and they're expecting you to take the seeds like okay, I grew an eggplant from the library. Now when I eat this eggplant, I should save the seeds, clean them, dry them and bring them back to the library. They're
That is a
heirloom seeds.
wow. That is actually a fantastic idea
It is.
to actually bring that.
Do you know what heirloom means?
Now some plants. There are some plants that we call heirloom. I don't know what makes them heirloom versus other plants.
So, plants that we usually eat at the grocery store, when you go to the grocery store and you buy a beautiful red tomato, it's a perfect circle. That's not an heirloom plant. It's actually been modified to be that perfect red circle. An
Yeah.
heirloom plant is kind of like, just to put it in very simple terms, ancient plants, ancient seeds that haven't been mutated or changed to fit humans throughout years. So they're like
Yeah.
hundreds of years old, but you get them from the same plant each time. The difference is,
Now,
yeah,
now I know that like potatoes, there are like thousand kind of potatoes, but did you know we eat only two or three kind of potatoes? And guess who dictate what kind of potato we eat? McDonald's dictates what kind of potatoes we have on our table because
same with
they are the
mushrooms.
biggest buyers. They are biggest buyers of that.
Hmm.
So with the tomato, I know it's very similar. Now, there are tomatoes that are round, there are tomatoes that are oval, but if you put them all together, less than a dozen kind of tomatoes are available in grocery store.
It actually
Whereas,
It actually gets really dirty to me because what they're doing is they're trying to make the same tomato, just to use the same example. All the tomatoes are the same. Maybe they look a little bit different, but what to me I think is like it should be maybe even criminal. They make those seeds so that you can't take them out of the tomato and regrow them.
hmm, wow, wow. Now, have you heard of this, the hydroponic gardens and so on? What do you think about that?
I like it. I have two of them.
Okay, tell me about how does that work? Practically earth, dirt-free kind of
Yeah,
growing of the plants, right?
yeah. So there, not a lot of light can get into the box. It's a
Hmm.
box that holds the water, and then inside is a filter. And the filter is constantly running and cycling the water. And you also have to add fertilizer and some other stuff to it pretty often, unfortunately. And then it just sits there on your counter and grows. And the lights turn on and off. I have two different brands. One of them I like better than the other one. I was growing some. lettuce, and they were going crazy. They were growing really well. And then I also grew some herbs for tea, and I actually had to take the herbs out of the hydroponic garden and put them into the outside garden because the roots from my chamomile plant were getting so huge, they were actually going inside the filter.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had to use scissors because all of the roots all grew together, but I think they're pretty good, especially if you live in an apartment. I totally
Yeah.
recommend having one because you can grow tomatoes, strawberries, cucumbers, pretty much anything you want, and it's soil free.
Now, actually, I know that in Holland, there most of the vegetables that actually are produced are hydroponic. There are actually these hydroponic farms, industrial, where
Hmm.
everything is controlled. And I have as well heard that they combine that with fish farm.
Yeah,
What that means, of it?
I actually grew up with one of my friends growing up. Her mom, that's her mom's income. She owned her own hydro garden with fish inside of it, and the fish fertilized the plants, and she just grew microgreens. So she just like was able to every week she was having new microgreens or whatever, and she sold them to different restaurants. She also sold duck eggs and chicken eggs.
Wow. Well, no, I think the idea of this is that practically, as you said, the excrement of the fish is fertilizer for the plants, and it seems to be a science for itself that it works really well, very lucrative. But then you can actually as well have some kind of fish that the fish are as well, edible fish, so that as well that helps them to bring some money back. Now, I'm not sure if where I heard that, but I heard that in most of the Scandinavian, the city come and helps you to change your lawn or to your thing to instead of just a useless lawn to a garden.
We have that too here. I've been thinking about doing it. Yeah, you can contact the city and then they can help you to make a natural bee habitat or a natural butterfly habitat. And the goal is because, like the U of M, the bees are kind of going extinct to the point that the U of M is having to make robot bees to try and pollinate things. So their idea is that they can help you to plant your garden and then it's low maintenance for you. You're actually not supposed to weed it. You should not touch it. You should let it grow wild. And then the butterflies, the bees, the bunnies, they can all enjoy it. But also just kind of the same topic, that's why you shouldn't get rid of your leaves in the fall. You should let them stay on the ground because that's actually where the loner bees go. The majority of bees are not hive bees. They're wild bees and they live in sticks and they live in like leaf clumps and everything. So it's better for the environment if you keep your yard a little bit more wild.
Yeah, and that I totally agree with that. This monoculture that we have been creating, it just seems good on our eyes, but is really not what the actual wildlife or life as general is.
Hmm.
Well, I actually then have to swing by the library, get some seeds.
I know you should. You should. I've been thinking about doing it too. You can save so much money just from having a library card. There's so much you can do at the library. I want to talk about the library in a different podcast, actually, because I think
Yeah.
everyone should have a library card. You can use their printer, you can use their computers. If you have to have a meeting and they can give you a meeting space. If you're having a wedding, you can rent out. A lot of libraries have event spaces for $300, but that's not the topic that we're on right now. So we'll talk about gardening. I actually
Mhm.
want to talk a little bit about companion gardening. Have you heard of that?
What is that?
So, companion gardening is shout out to the Native Americans. It's kind of their thing. What they call it is the Three Sisters method. So, companion gardening, in short, is pretty much, like I said before, planting things that want to grow together. So, the Native Americans, their thing is they would grow a stalk of corn, and in front of the stalk of corn, grow beans. And then the beans now have something to grow up. But
Hmm.
then they would also grow squash or roots to cover the ground to protect it so the soil doesn't get too hot. and then you
Mm.
can plant stuff that grow down. So what I'm doing right now in my garden, I'm trying to take notes. I don't grow corn. I've never had luck with it and I'm not going to try. I don't even really eat corn. So what I'm doing is I'm growing my squash in the back of my garden so that they can climb up a trellis that I have. And then in front of the squash, I've sprinkled not a lot, but some marigold seeds because marigold is an edible flower. It's a beautiful flower and it also repels pests. So these pests will not come and eat my other plants. And then in front of the marigolds and like in between, I'm growing radishes because they won't grow up, they'll grow down.
That
Right?
sounds like a great idea. And that as well, we know that different plants take different material, different proportion from the earth. And as a matter of fact, that's what farmers are really encouraged to do and do now, that they switch from one crop to another exactly to not over use the resources of the farms and so on. And then, and as you said as well, and I'm sure you have seen that they actually let the leftover of the organic material just lay around like leaves. They will
Yep.
just pay somebody to drive with the gas-driven car to come to use the gas-driven vacuum to get that organic material somewhere and then drive it somewhere else and in a dump or somewhere. Whereas these are the nutrition of the earth that your garden actually needs. So, and in that sense, I think this there is something romantic about the wildness of your garden. If different things are growing in different way, and that just the leaves are just on the ground and so on. And I think that is sort of makes and then we do that, and then on top of that, we pay money to have fertilizer to put on our lawn and so on. So,
And yep. And we also pay money to have pesticides. Another thing that
yeah,
organic farmers, like small batch farmers, obviously not like huge plots, but family farms, what they do is they do companion gardening because a lot of these plants, they invite bugs that eat the other bugs,
yeah, yeah.
right? Smart.
Yeah. Now, there is a sad story but this exemplifies what you just said, that nature has a balance, and when we disturb that balance, usually it backfires on us.
Always.
In 1960s, Mao Zedong, the dictator of China, just heard from some farmers that the birds are coming and eating their crops. So he made a campaign. This is not a joke. This is so stupid, but this is real. He made a campaign that everybody went all over China. They start beating their drums and so on. So sparrows and other birds, they couldn't land anywhere. They
Mhm.
literally killed all the birds.
I heard about that actually.
You know what happened then? The
Pests
bugs,
got way worse.
the bugs that were usually eaten by the birds, they overgrew, and it was a famine. Millions, tens of millions of people died of hunger because somebody heard something, wanted to wanted that the birds don't eat the crops, and that ended up in huge famine. And that is not long ago. That's almost 50 years ago. You see, stupidity has a price.
Yeah,
So,
and somehow we pay that price over and over again. We love to not learn our lesson.
well, let the nature be. If I have anything to say to anybody, just wherever you go, see what you find there. It's a balance that has found practically itself over many years, decades, centuries, millennia, millions of years. Whatever you find there, that is how it's supposed to be. Don't try to make it better.
I totally agree. And also, I think that we should all try and encourage our childhood like our child inner child to just explore and enjoy the outdoors. If you just slow down and look at the craziness, you realize it's not crazy. It's just really beautiful and so much more peaceful than you think. Like you said, there's so many different types of every type of plant. I think mangoes, there's like 82 types of mango. And we only eat one kind. So if you just
Yeah,
allow yourself to
but
explore,
probably none of them grow in Minnesota.
no, but I went to a mango farm. Actually, I totally recommend going there. I think it's called the Homestead. It's in Homestead, Florida. I think it's called the Homestead Spice Park, and they
Okay,
have every type of mango there. But I think we should all just let go and go outside a little bit more and get dirty.
sounds good. Okay.
Thank you guys for watching. This was Essence of Life, and we talked about gardening. I'm Amanda Armagast.
And I'm Dr. Bobby.